Megan Hicks of I Run Far. I'm with Arlen Glick. It's a couple days before the 2023 Western States Endurance Run. Arlen, hello!
Hi, it's good to be here.
We find ourselves back in Olympic Valley a year later.
Yeah, it's fun to be back.
You seem like a different runner and a different person than the Arlen Glick we all got to know so well at this race last year. Do you feel like a different runner?
I do. I mean, I'm assuming you're referring to the fact that I'm sponsored now. Thankfully, Kraft picked me up, and yeah, it feels very different doing this professionally now as opposed to the approach I took last year.
Yeah. So. You ran this race for the first time, 2022, took a podium spot, third place. I think you were just under 16 hours. Is that correct?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty darn good debut Western States. Once you got the 2020 view behind that race a month later, 2 months later, what's your synthesis of how that day went for you?
Yeah, I mean, mid-race, I thought it was going horrible, but
okay.
but then when I got to the finish line, I kind of had to fake a victory. Like, this is pretty awesome. I got on the podium. Like, I was very excited when I got to the finish line and realized, like, hey, I ran under 16 hours. But for the about 12 hours leading up to about 12 hours of it, I was not having those wonderful thoughts. So.
Okay. What did you take away from that race that you're bringing back with you this year? Like successes, failures, things that you felt you nailed, stuff you're working on, anything you want to share there?
Yeah, I mean, if I were to dive into what went wrong, it would be, the mechanics were not working properly last year. Of course, I don't beat myself up over that because I took the approach that I thought was smart, and I think it wasn't bad, but it just honestly just didn't work very good. The body wasn't cooperating with me on race day.
Okay.
Also, like nutritionally, I had a pretty poor strategy, just like simply based on calorie consumption, was miscalculated some of the sections and how long it might take me.
So too few calories?
Yeah, too few in certain sections.
Okay.
And it wasn't like my stomach turned sideways on me. I just poor planning on my part and not knowing how long it takes. I was thinking more in miles in terms instead of like really analyzing how long is it going to take me, how big is this climb. So I screwed up the nutrition a little bit, but fortunately my stomach was fine and I came back fine once I learned that I just needed to just take in a little bit more fuel.
Got it. Undo the bonk.
Yeah, kind of undo the bonk. And when I'm in shape, I don't feel a bonk as much. Like I didn't feel that trashed. I was just like, why can't I climb? And then the mechanics went south and started cramping really bad. Compensation for my injury previously and whatever. But yeah, so like going into it this year, nutrition is a lot better. Still working on getting the mechanics worked out. Like I think I had a really good plan. I think my training structure is going to shoot me towards a really nice race, but I won't know. Like, you have to ask me that at 60 miles. I'll tell you if it's working or not.
Okay, so when I see you at Forest Hill, can I ask?
You can ask me that.
Okay. How are the mechanics?
I'll be like, well, yeah, I can give you yay or nay. It's either working or it's not.
Okay. So it struck me the other day, when is the last time you didn't race 100 miles? Like, have you decided to be a 100-mile runner?
Oh boy, I feel like that question should be so much easier to answer.
Oh, okay.
I honestly,
it's been a couple years, hasn't it?
I should look at the list of races I did. I honestly can't remember the last time I raced.
It's been at least a couple years.
Yeah, it has.
Okay.
Yeah, so I am clearly a 100-mile specialist.
So that's not intentional. That's just random. You've been picking races that you're drawn to, and it just turns out it's a bunch of 100-milers?
I would say it's somewhat intentional.
Okay.
I really enjoy it. I was talking with Cole Watson about this, and he was just, he's super fast on the flat marathon scene as well as super good at running mountains too, and like distance variation too. And he was just saying like how hard it was for him last year getting back in marathon shape after running Western States. And after doing a bunch of hundreds consecutively, I've learned it's just so much easier coming off of one race and going back into the same, obviously the races are very different. I run flat ones, I run mountains, there's a lot of variations within that distance, but it's so much smoother transitioning from one race. And then I think you can really get dialed in on that specific distance too, and like really get good at that race. Just like it takes a long time to figure out any distance, whether short or long.
You have segued yourself into my next question. You're one of the couple very lucky people who are doing a very interesting double, in that 3 weeks after the finish of Western States, you'll be finishing the Hard Rock 100.
Okay, I was going to correct you and say 2 weeks and
like what?
6 days.
Yeah, 6 days.
But then you said finishing. But I like the confidence there. So I guess I will be finishing.
Touch wood.
3 weeks exactly from from Western States. Yeah, I think it's so exciting because when I applied for Hard Rock, I was just like, there's not a chance. And I had a qualifier, and so I have to apply, right? If I want to run it before
start
I die
putting
of old age.
in.
Start putting in. So I was like, okay, let's start putting in for Hard Rock. And then I got drawn, and I'm like, I better check the date of this race.
Stop. You didn't look before you put in.
No.
You were planning for 2030 on that.
Yeah, I was planning for 2030. And then I'm like, and I already had UTMB on the calendar. And I'm like, okay, something's got to give here. But then, so at first it was like a knot in my stomach. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? I didn't pick this. I tried it, but I didn't pick it.
It picked you.
It picked me.
Yeah.
And then I got really excited when I realized that this was going to be the first time in a while that I have challenged my crazy. Because like I do crazy things all the time, and I've been for a long time, and like I'm a cautious guy, so I take incremental steps.
Risk averse.
Yeah, so my first mountain race was Western States a year ago, and then I went to Run Rabbit Run, which was slightly more crazy in altitude and everything. And then like Hard Rock would be the next step, right? Well, Merry Christmas, I get a trashed body to take to Hard Rock. So it's going to be fun to challenge my crazy.
So I asked Courtney Courtney Dauwalter, who's also running the Western States Hard Rock Double, this same question yesterday when I interviewed her. Are you racing Western States this week like there is or is not a 100-mile race 3 weeks in the future?
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks in 6 days?
Yeah, I'm definitely racing like there's not.
Okay.
I feel like I don't want to have 2 half-decent races. I would way rather put all my eggs in one basket. And then I view Hard Rock like my vacation after it. I hope to go into that celebrating. If I'm having a pity party, then we'll just we'll deal with that when we get there.
It is more common as our sport grows that people start to specialize, be it distance or specific terrain. While you seem to trend towards 100-milers, it seems like you like all of them. Like all the 100-milers all the time for Arlen. Are you finding a type of terrain out there that you like more than others, or is it really like you like it all?
Yeah, I definitely am liking it all, and that's why I haven't given up. Like I chose Umstead this year as kind of like a race that I've done before and whatever. I am loving the mountain scene, but our mountain running season is unfortunately very short.
So you have to find a way to occupy yourself the other 9 months of the year?
You nailed it.
Okay. Fair enough. Flat and fast then.
Yeah, so it's flat and fast, and then when I get to run mountains, then there it is.
Awesome. Best of luck to you on your adventure from Olympic Valley to Placer High. But then also best of luck on a very quick recovery and turnaround to the next one.
Thank you. I'm going to need all the luck I can get.
Nah, you're ready.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.